Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Disputes over parking spots are a never-ending problem. In our first story, the attempt to intimidate our OP was unsuccessful, and the instigator of the whole thing ran away with his tail between his legs. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Hypocrite neighbor thinks he can tow my car. In the building where me and my family live, there's a parking lot underneath it. All of the parking spots are rented and taken except for 2 spots at the side of the entrance to the lot that all of the building agreed on that it's a free parking spot for people who live in the building and don't have rented spots. Like children that got cars and can't park where their parents park. Basically, it's a matter of first come, first serve in those 2 spots. I was coming back from taking out the trash when I was confronted by him. Me is me. Ian is entitled neighbor. Ian, is your car parked at the entrance? Me. Yeah, something wrong? Ian, yeah, something's wrong. I have trouble coming in and out of the lot because of you. You're blocking the path. Me, knowing it's not true. No, I'm not. It's an agreed parking spot. If I parked incorrectly, I can go check it. Ian, you need to leave that parking spot. My kids are coming over and they need a place to park. Me, wait, what? You're telling me to leave that parking spot just so your kids who don't even live here could come over? No, I'm not going to leave. Ian, you kids are so disrespectful. I'm 21. You all park like it's Chicago up in here. Sorry, Chicago readers. I believe that you all park responsibly. I'm going to call a tow truck on you if you don't move your car right now. Me. Bye. Ian, you have until Sunday. I went back to my apartment and now I'm waiting till Sunday to see if he'll do it and update my story. Thanks for reading. I also approached the owner of the building. The funny thing is that when I went to the owner, Ian's sons already came to the parking lot and not only parked in a spot that wasn't legal, but blocked both Ian's car and the path itself to the entrance/exit, eventually causing a big traffic jam. The owner was furious and he kicked the sons out of the lot and gave Ian some nasty yells. Me and my dad literally just looked out of the window, ate popcorn, and enjoyed the show. Yes, the tow truck never came. It was a known bluff from the start, but it was fun to share the story with you all. Thanks again. And may the forces of the universe bestow upon us freedom from the entitled people. And our second story. Crazy lady tries to get behind the cash register. A little bit of backstory for this. I was 15 years old and very short, so I looked like I was 12 or 13. 15 is the legal age for people to work here, as long as a parent lets them work there. I normally ran the cash register, and my manager was somewhat trusting in me to make sure all of the money was safe. This will be important later. Our store has 4 cameras and 3 TVs, 1 toward the doorway, 1 behind the counter, and 1 in the staff-only room. This will also be important. So on a calm day, we have a customer come in. She came in with 2 shy-looking kids. I'd not recognized her, so I thought she was new. We have a pretty small town, so I knew most of our customers. This lady went up and down the aisles. At the time, one of my friends was in the store. He came up to me and said this was the lady he was talking about. He said that she was going to be a pain to me as she has to another coworker a few days back. I said that he shouldn't worry about it, so after about 20 minutes, she comes up to the counter. She starts giving me her items. So far, so good, I thought. She wasn't paying attention to me at the time. Then she looked up. Here's the cast. Me is me. Crazy lady is CL. Manager is M. Friend is friend. And shy kids 1 and 2 as kid 1 and kid 2. Here's how it went. CL. What are you doing behind the counter, young man? Me. I work here, Mrs. Crazy Lady. CL. Where are your parents? Friend. Mrs., he works here. He's 15 and is allowed to work here. CL. You're both trying to get free stuff and steal the money they earn. Me. Can you please give me the rest of your groceries so you can leave and we can move on with our day? Kid 1. Mom, come on. We need to go to the party. CL. Shut up, Kid 1. You don't know what's going on. I'm just sitting there watching as she screams. Friend, ma'am, can you hurry up? I want to buy some donuts. CO, you mean steal some donuts? My friend, whose father and mother were cops, was taken aback. Friend, ma'am, I'm not trying to be mean, but now you're trying to make me dishonored towards my family's history. CO, get this filthy friend of yours out of here before I get an actual employee and get you arrested. Kid 2, Mom, come on, you do this everywhere to some kid in the neighborhood. It's embarrassing, and you still haven't learned your lesson. Kid 2 looked about 14, around the age of where I started thinking about getting a job here. CO, I'll show you both how right I am and how you should both let Mom take care of this business. Me, ma'am, I'm trying to be nice here, and CO, that's it, I'm getting an employee. Crazy lady starts hollering for someone else. A coworker peeks in, but I wave him off. CO, is he part of your plan too? She says, gawking. No, Mom, a voice calls out, and we both look at the kids. They turn red and start saying sorry. Then crazy lady comes over the counter and onto the workspace. She grabs me by the collar and starts screaming profanities at me. I'm scared and panicking because I have no clue what to do. Then the manager comes out. Crazy lady seems relieved. CL, you won't believe what this dumb kid was doing, she said, smirking. I stopped him before he could rob you and take everything he could. Manager, lady, why are you behind the counter? Don't lie, as I saw you on the counter. She looked dumbfounded. CL, you were out here? Manager, yes, and I saw you assault one of my employees. I think that she was starting to put two and two together. Then she pulled out her ultimate weapon and said, CL, just because he was, she said, was as if I was going to be fired, an employee, that doesn't mean that he wouldn't take anything. It's not like you have a camera pointed over here and you can see him. Now, I was working with this manager for around 6 months, so he knew that I hadn't been stealing money. This is why he trusted me with the register. Manager, he wouldn't steal a single cent, as he's too paranoid on what would happen. CL, what if he was just using it as a disguise? Manager, then he's pretty good at acting and should be on stage instead of here. I heard that the band doesn't care about your age as long as the person playing the instrument's good at it. Just then the authorities arrived. CL, what's all of this for? She said nervously. Manager, well, let's see here. Assault of employees, trespassing, shoplifting. She put a candy bar in her back pocket. And I think that's it. Well, nothing too big at least, right? Yeah, my manager was able to crack jokes at any situation. She was arrested and I didn't press charges. The kids are in foster care until a few months when the dad gets out of jail. CL was sentenced to 3 years in court and 7 years of community service. I do feel bad for the kids as they seem to not be a devil like their mother was. And our last story. You want me to invite my friends over so you can intimidate them? Well, okay. So a few years ago, my wife and I had to move to a seedy little apartment in a bad part of town because we were poor. The neighbors were interesting. Lots of alcohol, lots of parties, etc., which wasn't too awful, I guess, but they also were violent. There were fights every night. Now, normally my wife and I just kept our heads down and minded our business, but it turns out the next door neighbor really didn't like us. He'd move his car into our parking spot when we left for the day, liked to stand on our stoop and block our way to our own door, and occasionally pounded on the paper-thin walls between our apartments and shouted things like, "Yeah, I'm loud. What the F are you going to do about it? What the F are you going to do about it?" Living with such an intrusive and unstable neighbor was not fun, especially considering my wife was pregnant and we didn't really feel safe. The landlord was not helpful in the slightest, so we began actively looking for a new place, planning on breaking our lease if we had to. One day, the crazy neighbor was hanging out just outside our door with a bunch of shady-looking people. I tried to politely make my way through to get to my door, but they butted me aside. "My crew will F you up, F-word. We will F you up," says crazy neighbor. I get pissed and tell him in so many words that he wouldn't be so intrusive and threatening if he knew who I hung out with. "Yeah, you call up your friends. You call them right up. My crew will F them up," he shouts at me. I eventually make it into my apartment where I stew in anger about the whole situation. Now, normally, I would just ignore this guy, but he was clearly escalating his behavior, and I, being a gentleman, decided to take him up on his offer of having some friends over for a friendly time of joy and fellowship. Did I mention that my dad, my uncle, and 2 of my cousins were patrol officers with the sheriff's department? I hadn't talked to them about my neighbor's situation because I didn't want my tires to get slashed, but I figured now was as good a time as any to let the crazy apartment complex know that maybe, just maybe, they should find someone else to mess with. I called my dad up and explained my neighbor's behavior and said I wasn't interested in any kind of formal police stuff just yet, but wouldn't you know, he wants all my friends to come over. We could have a grand old time. My dad laughed and said he'd see what he could arrange. I should note here that me and Crazy Neighbor had our own side entrances on the right side of the building, while everyone else had units inside the actual building. So if I were to say, have some friends over in the parking lot, we'd be right outside Crazy Neighbor's door. Well, 4 or 5 days later, I had my friends over. About a dozen uniformed police officers, mostly sheriff's deputies, but a couple of state troopers as well. We had a big barbecue right in the parking lot, eating steaks and having a grand old time. We had a few laughs at my neighbor's expense as he kept pulling his curtain aside and peeking out his window, but was clearly not interested in coming out. I got the courage to knock on Crazy Neighbor's door after a couple of beers and said, "Hey, my friends are over. Didn't you want to F up my friends? You and your crew? Here they are." Mysteriously, he didn't come to the door. There were usually tenants out walking around or visiting each other throughout the day, but not this day. Dead silence around the whole apartment complex. The next day, my fears of revealing my friendly ties to the local police were realized as I went out to go to work and found out that my car was gone. I did the proper thing and made a police report, which my uncle personally responded, going to Crazy Neighbor's door and asking if he saw anything. 2 weeks later, my wife and I moved into my parents' basement as my dad had decided that he didn't want me living in that complex. I don't think I ever told him where exactly I lived before the barbecue, but he was probably freaked out to realize that it was a shady place with a high call volume. My wife and I were able to find a much nicer place of our own before our son was born. I saw Crazy Neighbor's mugshot in the paper a couple months later, and yes, they found my car. The jerk stole it personally. But that's only one of the charges he was facing. It's a damn shame people try to act so tough over stupid crap so they feel good. I'm glad you and your spouse were able to get the hell out of there. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.